everyone. Brad Walchek calling in from Premier Marketing. And yeah, thank you. First and foremost, thank you for joining us today to go over this Aetna, the Recovery Care Choice product. We've been really excited for this for, well, I've known about it for quite a while now, and now I'm just happy to bring it to all of you. With me on the call today, I have Tony Clark from Aetna to discuss like I said, to discuss this new, we're just talking short-term care, home health care. It is so much more, and as the slide shows, protection series. I mean, it just has it all, really. And with that, I mean, they've taken everything from the recovery care product, but made it better, adding additional benefit amounts, inflation protection, along with a number of other riders. And yeah, this is just, Aetna has been a leader in this market for quite some time. And really, I think this is just gonna put them over the top and really accelerate this. So yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Tony. And during the presentation, if you have any questions, feel free to throw it in the box. I will try to answer them as I go. If there's anything I think we need to address at the end, I'll let Tony take care of that. So perfect, thanks, and take it away, Tony.
All right, well, thanks, Brad. I appreciate that. Thanks for the opening there, and welcome everyone. Yeah, as Brad said, you know, this particular product is part of our protection series, and I have been with the company now. January 7th, I rolled over 18 years, and again, as Brad said, my name is Tony Clark. I'm what they consider a regional vice president. My lay of the land is typically somewhat the western part of the United States. There are 3 other gentlemen and teams, if you want to call it that do what I do. And we are scattered everywhere from Dallas to down to New Orleans to Indianapolis, Indiana, and then where I'm at, which is just outside of Omaha, Nebraska. So between the 4 of us, we are, you know, part of what we do, I guess, is what I was going to say was, you know, we do different webinars and training, and we work a lot with Premier Senior Marketing, or I should say, me and my team. And I would just strongly encourage you guys and gals out there that if you do have any questions, you need help, anything, you know, please feel free to reach out to the folks at Premier. They have been longtime partners with us. Together, along with your help, we have helped a lot of people throughout the United States in being able to have healthcare products that fit the need for today. And, you know, people look at recovery care and they may say, well, what the heck's recovery care? They may look at, you know, part of our protection series. The reason we have to call it series is it just isn't this product. We offer a variety of other products. Our main product, I guess, if you want to call our core products, actually traditional Medicare supplement. But we also offer cancer, heart attack, stroke, hospital indemnity. We have a couple of final expense plans. We have a dental, vision, and hearing plan. And then we have a standalone home care plan. And then this plan product. I call them plans. They're really products. And let's just kind of jump in here, because I think what's neat about this, Brad and I, we talk quite a bit on a regular basis about short-term care. And, you know, if you need care, who would decide, you know, where you're going to receive your treatment? You know, you know, if you're not familiar with the lay of the land like a lot of you folks are, and I know some of you folks have already written or been writing our original recovery care. And if you go back, even back to 1995 and 1996, we actually had nursing. We were really creative back then. I wasn't there, of course, but it was really creative. It was called nursing facility care and home care. But we actually been writing these or selling these products since 1995 and 1996. And the beautiful thing about it is there were a lot of agents that wrote a lot of this business. They understood it. And if you're in the long-term care space currently, or you've been there, and I know personally when I was writing, it's been a while since I still told you I've been here 18 years, and I've been with other carriers also. But when I did write, you know, one of the nice things about it is back then you could say, hey, this company's never had a rate increase. The premiums were affordable. It even seemed like underwriting was easier. And nowadays things are tougher as far as from an underwriting perspective. The premiums are higher than ever. And this is a great alternative. It does not replace long-term care by any means. But again, having the freedom to choose where you get your care, or if you sell this to a member, where they get their care, whether it be in a nursing facility or whether it be in a assisted living facility or at home. They have the option, when they're signing up or you're enrolling them, to actually have that, kind of build a plan around what they would like to do. So if you look at the average annual cost of a semi-private room right now in a skilled nursing facility, folks, and this might be a conservative number. The last number I had, I think it was around $115,000. So if you look at that $115,000, and actually, quite frankly, the average cost is around probably $80,000 for assisted living. So if you look at the cost and something happened, as you're talking about trying to build a needs analysis, and, I was one of those guys too, and I think, believe it or not, I've heard a lot of people still use these, but, a fact finder. And I would go through the fact finder and I would ask questions, about, well, what do you have for this? What do you have for that? Life insurance? What do you have for, you might go in with the approach that it's a Medicare supplement and, somebody turning 65 or what have you. But I was able to go through the fact finder and write things down. And one of the things that it was very interesting. People were interested in long-term care back then. Short-term care products, I think, were out back then, but there weren't a lot of carriers offering them. So one of the things you can ask them is, if something ever happened to you, and a lot of folks, I live in a rural area. I know Brad does, but there's a lot of farmers and ranchers and folks like that have generations of folks that have lived on the farm, or maybe they're still in that same house and they're elderly now. They don't want to leave, but and certainly they don't want to have to deal with selling assets, selling off land, selling off farm machinery, whatever it might be, so that somebody can come up with $120,000 potentially or more, depending on how long they need care, or if they need care, in an assisted living facility where you're going to come up with $80,000. Some folks might have it in savings, but the average person out there we know does not. So really, it's just about, I think a lot of times the crazy thing to me about any of these products, I don't care if it's dental, if it's cancer and heart attack, stroke, if it's short-term care, you just got to talk about it, right? I think you got to just tell people, not everybody sits at home. As much as we used to see Jimmy Walker and Joe Namath and Humana commercials and Aetna commercials and things like that, where you're kind of on TV all the time. People don't sit around at home and get advertisements on a regular basis or even really understand cancer insurance or short-term care. So again, does your client really have coverage for skilled stay should they need it, home health care or nursing? What happens if somebody was to have a heart attack or a stroke, have some paralysis of some sort, have a cognitive impairment, and they need care? I mean, think about it. If you look at this particular recovery care choice product, just to kind of break it down, we'll bust into this a little deeper, but you can see that they have the option or the freedom. I like to use the word freedom, because one of the great things about it is, as we know, and maybe some of you folks out there have had this experience. I've had friends that have had to go through it, where they've had grandparents or moms and dads that needed care, had something happen to them, TIA, stroke, heart attack. They needed to have the nursing facility care afterwards. And you look at that and you think, well, they surely have money. They can surely afford to go to the nice facility that's up on the hill with the big bench out front and the big oak tree in the front of it and got a little pond and all that stuff. And it turns out they end up, having to go, and this isn't a knock on it by any means, but they end up having to go to a Medicaid facility. And that limits your choice. So when you think about this product and you think about all the levels of skilled nursing facility that you can, that this will help cover: skilled, intermediate, custodial, memory care, which we know that's becoming a big deal, and hospice. And then, of course, I mentioned already services within an assisted living facility. We built in some benefits in this, which is cool. A lot of you folks that wrote our original recovery care, and some of you may still have that product available. I know this product isn't available in all states just yet. We are going to be rolling out additional states. There'll be 3 or so coming out here still this March, and then there'll be some more in April. And then we've got some states that are in the hopper currently that we are kind of going back and forth with the DOI. But knowing that they're coming, so and several of you may write in multiple states, so it may be available in one state but not the other just yet. I'll say this: we've had some challenges getting this short-term care philosophy approved with DOIs in certain states, and we continue to fight the battle, but some states just do not. Whether they think it's too close to knocking off long-term care or what have you. Bottom line is they just don't understand it. They just don't understand how this product can really help people get the coverage that they need and not have to go on Medicaid and not have to take state funds and different things and have options and choices and all those fun things. So with that being said, we have some embedded benefits. I'll touch on that, like it says, prescriptions and excess charges. I think home care, which is optional. I think that's the beautiful thing about this product is, if somebody's just really more concerned about the nursing facility or assisted living facility or home, those 2 big deals, that's fine. But hey, what about home care? Would you like to stay in your own home if you can? Well, sure I would. I don't want to go to it. Whoever said I would, oh man, I can't wait to get to a nursing facility. That ought to be awesome. They've got great food. Nobody says that. Riders. You can see we have a daily hospital indemnity rider. One thing I'll say about the hospital indemnity, many of you that have written our short-term care plan over the years have noticed, or maybe you didn't, maybe you did. I was talking about this Friday. We had a minimum of $10 a day for daily hospital. And it was built, it had to be sold with the policy. And that reason is at the time, our older policies and plans were filed as a hospital indemnity plan. I don't know if that was a tricky way to get around the situation with, DOIs, or to get them approved. I'm not really sure what the philosophy was, but because of that, it had to have a $10 minimum daily hospital indemnity benefit. That is no longer a requirement. We have the home care indemnity, inflation protection, ambulance, transportation, pet boarding, home modifications, outpatient rehab, adult daycare, and then mental health. The other thing we offer on this product, which is a new, I guess I don't want to say it's new, because if anybody's written our DVH Flex, our latest and greatest that came out last April, we started offering a multi-policy discount of 15%. Now in Texas, it's 5%. I know we probably got some folks in Texas, the great state of Texas down there. It's 5%. They wouldn't approve 15%. But it is, there still is a multi-policy discount. So if anyone has any other policy with us, a DVH, a cancer, a Medicare supplement, what have you, any of the, what I call the senior supplemental insurance or SSI products, they can then qualify for a discount. The core or base part of the product is being issued to ages 40 to 89. For those of you that this may be new to, it used to be, and if you're still in a state, as I mentioned, where we have our existing recovery care, not the recovery care choice, we used to start at age 50. And we did a lot of what we hope will help you all, and you'll all be or understand a lot of this as far as riders and options and things. We really tried to listen to the field. And whether it was what we needed or, hey, this other company's got this or they got that, you need this, if you had this, man, I would write the heck out of this stuff for you. We tried to listen to what you folks have. We probably don't have everything. I think there's 9 riders available on this plan.
Hey, Tony, I don't know if you can hear me. You're kind of cutting out here and there. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I don't, just to let you know. So
I'll keep you posted. It's really unusual.
Yeah. And I don't know if it'd be on our end and our connection, but Yeah, just to let you know, I'll just keep you in for everyone listening. Just know that we're
If something doesn't come out, or you say, hey, I mean, just yell at me and
Yep.
say if I need to repeat it or whatever, let me know.
Exactly. So just a heads up.
Man, here I thought I was going old school, and I didn't get rid of my landline because I thought the sound is so much better and clearer that I never have to worry about being on a cell phone or a computer. So
Yeah,
my apologies.
Hey, no problem. But yeah, well now it's been better. So yeah, hopefully we'll let it ride.
Well, I will do this. I'll get closer to the phone as well. Maybe I'm getting too far away from it. So thanks, man.
Yeah. Hey, you bet. Thanks.
So anyway, ages 40 to 89 now. You notice that the $700 daily maximum now on this product. It used to be $400 a day. We took it to $700. It includes assisted living and bed reservation. We have a choice now, which actually just mirrors what we had before: 0-day waiting, 20-day, or 100-day. 100-day to match more up with Medicare. And again, as I mentioned, there can be state variances. So just take a look at your outline of coverage and keep an eye on that if you're writing, especially if you're writing in multiple states. Once you get used to the product that the state you're in and the nuances, you'll have it. There is a daily nursing facility that is part of the base benefit, where we pay a daily benefit for confinement in a nursing facility or assisted living. And the trigger, if you want to call it that, is very similar to the long-term care space. If a policyholder or a member can't perform 2 or more of the ADLs or has a cognitive impairment. There is a choice of covered days, and you have the option to play around with this a little bit. One of the things I get asked frequently are, well, why is 360 days the maximum and not 365? And that's simply because a lot of Department of Insurances, if you go 365, or if you try to go 365 in short-term care, they deem that as long-term care. So we cap it at 360 as far as the highest. And then as far as the covered days, the number of covered days in a lifetime, depending on how many days you choose. So if you chose 90 days, you will get 2 times. You'll get 180 days of lifetime max to cover potential stays. So it's not a once and done policy where, we pay out and then it goes away. You will potentially get up to 2 years worth of coverage. And if you think about that, you may not think that's a lot, but if you get to 2 times the benefit amount and you went 360, that at 2 years, it's not unusual for these products and these plans to pay out several $100,000 in care at a time when a person needs it. And how great is that? I mean, if you've got, if you write this on grandma or grandpa or dad and mom, and they have children, grandchildren, what have you, and they know that if something happens, they go into a facility, that they're going to have this coverage and they're not going to have to come up with funds. And it's really a great policy. And again, as I mentioned, I talked about long-term care being the more difficult from an underwriting perspective. All of our products, except for the Medicare supplement, have what we call simplified underwriting. Essentially, it's yes or no underwriting, and then we do a drug check, script check. So when you look at those plans or those questions on the application, or you're doing an electronic app, you're going to know essentially that policy or that person will be approved. Really, the only thing that could potentially throw up a red flag would be the prescription drugs they're on. But just ask the questions. It's simplified underwriting, so it's not guarantee acceptance. Now, we do have some products that are guarantee acceptance, like DVH. There's a certain age band, 64.5 to 70, on our hospital indemnity. They're guarantee acceptance. And so, therefore, there are products like that. But this one is just what I would recommend as simplified underwriting. Part of the plan, I talked about some of the things that we included in the base benefit, is a new RX benefit. And there is an annual max of $300 per year, $10 for generic, $25 for a brand name prescription. And this is a benefit that people can take immediate advantage of. They do not need to be on claim in order to start utilizing this. And that is all built in. So there's not a rider to sell for the RX benefit. The other thing that we built into the base plan, and we're hoping this helps folks out that maybe you're in the Medicare supplement or MA space, but when you talk Medicare supplement, what's one of the bigger plans that everybody's kind of gravitating to now that rates have increased so much on Plan G with the carriers, and that is Plan N. Some agents, even though it really is not a big deal, it's not something that comes up. We had data, we had statistics. We've been doing MedSup for a long time. And we had data and so forth showing us excess charges and what typically comes out of excess charges if they're charged. And I think it's like 97.7%, something, there's a number right up around there of providers accept what Medicare pays. So a member, buying a plan in could potentially run into a situation where there are excess charges. And we know they can't charge you more than 15% above and beyond what Medicare approves, but there could be a charge. So we are picking up excess charges from that perspective. Let's bump in here to the optional riders. Let's just start. I mentioned already, kind of ran through them, but let's just take a little bit deeper dive on each one. Again, I know this presentation is a high overview. So, you be sure to look at the brochure, be sure to look at the outline of coverage. It'll help you out with more, a deeper dive on some of these than what we have on a slide. So daily hospital indemnity rider, it obviously does what it does. It's a daily hospital indemnity plan rider. And you can choose up to $700 a day max for each day of confinement, 3 to 10 days per period of care or 20 days. And a lifetime maximum of 365 days. The nice thing about this benefit is it says a lifetime maximum, and you might think, well, who's going to go in the hospital for 365 days? Well, you're not, especially as hard, and that's one of the things that makes this short-term care plan a great plan. We have a hospital indemnity plan. People go in the hospital. People get stuck there for a few days. Any more hospitals do not want people laying around. They can't wait to get them out of there. And with that being said, as long as you have, or the member, the applicant, whatever you want to call them there, has at least a 60-day break in between confinements. So if they go into the hospital for 4 or 5 days and they're admitted, the beautiful thing about our product is our hospital indemnity, and this one as well, there's a benefit for even observation. So if something happens where they think they're actually admitted, but they're not, they're under observation, either way, we can help pay a benefit. But as long as there's a 60-day break here, we'll start paying again. Home care pays for, it's a weekly benefit for home care, and the beneficiary needs to receive at least 3 different visits on 3 different days for at least 1 hour. They can have more, provided that they can't perform 2 or more of the ADLs or their ADLs, or they have a cognitive impairment. We bumped up this maximum. For those of you that are familiar with our old product or older product, we did bounce that up. I believe the old one was $1,200 a week. We took it up to $2,100 a week. Still offering the same covered weeks, however many weeks you'd like to have it or they'd like to have it play out. And remember, this is home care. 13, 26, 39, or 52. Again, it falls into the same bucket where you have lifetime max equal to twice the number of covered weeks. Instead of a daily, it works weekly. And we also added a home care benefit where friends or family can also participate should they want to, and we will pay 25% of that amount. I don't know, you folks out there will be the judges on this. It was one of those things where I think people are glad it's there, because we do have, that question does come up. Well, they have kids at home or or whatever that wants to take care of their mom, dad, grandpa, grandma, whatever. We never had really a benefit designed for that. So here is a way where they can actually get 25% of the weekly home care benefit and do that care themselves. They can't do this and go on claim for the weekly max. So if they did $2,100 a week, you either do that or you take advantage of the family friends benefit. We also added an inflation protection rider. That was something that people told us we needed to have. Heard a lot about that for a long time. So it's nice. We've got a simple, you choose either a 3% or 5%, and it's just simply, no pun intended, simply simple or compound. So, you know, if you, depending on how people or how you want to build the plan, talking with your potentials, you have that option on there to throw that in there. We also have ambulance transportation, and that's simply that if a person needs to go like from the hospital to the facility or the facility to the hospital. In the past, we didn't have three options. It was just one option, but we have $200, $400, or $600 now, and they can use that 4 times per year. So hopefully people aren't having to use it, but we know that it does happen. Got to experience that actually with my mother-in-law a couple of times. So it's a nice benefit to tack in there. You just never know what might happen. Pet boarding. This is kind of an interesting one. I have a cat. I don't know. I think about this pet boarding, and I know that there's been a kind of an influx in people writing, or carriers, not people buying, but carriers offering different types of pet insurance. And I remember actually selling a product that had a pet boarding rider on it back 20 years ago, probably. And it was funny because I just thought it was crazy. And with people's love of pets, I think it's something that's totally viable now. And they can have a choice of $50 a day, $75 a day, or as you can see there, $100 a day, up to 30 days per period of care. So that's when they actually are in the hospital or what have you. And they do need, the trigger on that, or if you want to call it that, is that they do need or would need to be in a nursing facility or assisted living facility in order for that to kick in should they want to take advantage of it. This is a big one for me. I really like the home modification riders. The reason I say that is I've had friends that have had family members, and I've had family members where modifications had to be done at their homes, right? Rails need to go up, ramps need to be put in. There is now a $2,500 lifetime max or benefit that the policyholder, if they do qualify for the recovery care, go on claim, then they can take advantage of that benefit and use that up to $2,500 to use that to, get their some of the work done in their home. Might be something as just simple as getting ramps, if they have steps in their homes, to get in and out of the front door, or maybe get in and out of the garage. So from the garage to the house, that is. Outpatient rehab, there's a choice. Again, we have a lot of options on these. 15 visits per year or 30 visits per year, and then it can be up to $50, $100, or $150. So that's, again, outpatient rehab. And you don't have to necessarily be on claim for that. The option of adult daycare, I think this is another good one. We have people that are trying to help family members out. Adult daycare can be a saint. They can be marvelous. Those people do a great job. And sometimes it's a matter of taking someone there, dropping them off for the day, having the interaction with people, whether it's playing bingo or whether it's just, having someone there to talk to. The daycare centers are phenomenal. And we now have a benefit where they can get up to 30 visits per year. Choice of $50, $100, or $150 a day as well for that. And you can see on there, you can see on there that it does need to be a licensed adult daycare facility. I get asked that. I'm glad they put that actually on this presentation because that's a question that comes up. And then it's the same benefit trigger where they've lost 2 of the ADLs or they have a cognitive impairment. Mental health. Mental health has become, I don't know about where you folks all live, but I know it's become, there's a lot of focus on mental health. We see a lot of things happening to folks. It's very important. And, having the benefit amount on here that if somebody is concerned about that, if you talk to them about it, I know just in my area around Omaha and over into Iowa and places like that, I'm seeing a lot of these mental health facilities being built. and there's just a real need for those types of facilities. I mentioned already the multi-policy discount, which is out there. Add another product, receive a 15% discount on that Recovery Care Choice Plans premium. You don't have to add, I know it says add another product. It's great if you do up front, but if you don't, you sell one later, or maybe they already have one, they can still take advantage of that 15% discount. I've kind of jumped way ahead here as far as underwriting. It is just simplified is the word I use. Yes or no application, no telephone interview. It used to be when we had our older products, we did a telephone interview with everybody on recovery care and home health care. That was a challenge. Not only for you folks to get, we would even make outgoing calls and people wouldn't answer their phones. So I mentioned the prescription drug check. You can actually literally start, if you do the e-app, which I hope a lot of you will, because that's the only way we can do this. You can start typing in the drug or drugs, and you can search using the Aetna quote and enroll tool. Pre-existing conditions, we do have the 6-month pre-existing pre-X condition on there, benefits for all those covered injuries, sicknesses, whatever it might be, if they've been already treated for that or already receiving care, however you want to say it, would not be covered for the first 6 months. For those of you that don't have this app, you really should have an app called Quotes on the Go. If you don't search for Aetna, look for Quotes on the Go. That's the name of it. It'll look like that app for those of you that can see the screen. It's a purple app, and this will allow you to do any quoting for any of our ancillary or med sup plans that we have out there. And you can see there on the right-hand side of the screen, you just push, once you put in the basic information, the zip code, state, you can use date of birth or age, and then the effective date, male, female, have form of tobacco, and then you can simply collect or push whatever product you'd like to quote. It is a great way to do it. It is significantly better. I remember the days when agents, and I'm sure you're still out there, where you used paper and you figured it out with a pen or a pencil or used a calculator, and you don't have to do that anymore. We have the quote and enroll tool on our enrollment platform, but this is a tool you can put on your tablet or you can put on your phone. You just go to the Apple Store or you go to the Google Play Store, depending on what kind of device you have. Another big benefit that a lot of folks don't know of or aren't aware of, excuse me, and this is a great, I think 70% of the population in the United States lives within a 3-mile radius of a CVS health store. And with us, being purchased by CVS, that's it. I think one of the benefits of that is members can save 20% on CVS products. So they can go to a CVS store. This is just part of, this isn't a rider. They don't have to buy it, but they actually can go in to the store and they can get 20% off of anything that's, for the most part. Now, I do think that if it's on sale, they can't take advantage of that. I think if it's even CVS brand, I think it has to be just regular price. But anyhow, they can do that. The other thing that we don't talk a lot about is, agents can also, if they ever get stuck and need to pay premiums, I say agents, members get stuck and they need to pay premiums, they can pay premiums now at a CVS store as well. I know most folks just get it set up on, EFT, ACH, whatever you want to call it, where it comes out of their checking account automatically. But it's a nice perk. 20% off isn't too bad, especially with the way prices are going up and up and up every day. Certainly nothing's going down. Now we got to deal with oil, everything else. So gas prices going up, and nice to save 20% if you can. Let's see. Let me see if there's something else I want to throw out here. I would just say, a lot of you know this, but if you don't, the benefits are paid directly to the policyholder. They are non-taxable. and they are paid in addition to any other insurance that they may have, any other health care insurance, including Medicare. And I would add, as I was talking about that excess charge under Part B, that even if somebody has another Medicare supplement with a different carrier, they can still take advantage of that if they get stuck or hit with some excess Part B charges. The policy is also guaranteed renewable. So as long as they continue to pay their premiums and they're paid on time, they don't have to worry about it being, we will not cancel it. The other thing I would say about premiums, and this goes back, again, I mentioned 1995, 1996, these products that we have had out there in the market space, and whether they're products that, you know, I talked about the 1995-96 nursing facility and home care. You know that we've never, any of our products, so even if we've closed them off, if you want to call that, or come out with a new version, you know, like we came out with Recovery Care, now we're coming out with Recovery Care Choice. I'm sure home care will be probably the standalone home care product that we offer will be the next product in line. We've never had a premium increase. The only product that we sell that's ever had any premium adjustment or does have one is traditional Medicare supplement, where it goes up every year due to the person's age and medical inflation. So a lot of times people will say, well, wow, this is almost, maybe the premiums are too low. I don't know, maybe some people say they're too high, but how can you sustain this? How can you sell this at that rate? It's almost, you know, it's a good deal. Especially, again, like I say, especially when you start looking at it from the perspective of long-term care and giving someone at least 2 years of care, whether it be in their home or in a facility. Tremendous policy. Hey, you know, thanks to you folks, the business you're selling, the business is performing well. And yeah, there hasn't been a lot of, there's not been any talk or any worry at this particular point in time. Can't say that'll happen forever. You know, there's always that chance. And if something happened, if it happened in a given state, you know, we would just have to adjust policy premiums for everyone in that state. So it wouldn't necessarily have to be a blanket rate increase. But a couple other notes for those of you that write in Missouri. Missouri has an adult daycare. It only has adult daycare, mental health, compound inflation, and simple inflation rider in Missouri. So there's not all 9 riders. Ohio, the home modification rider only. And it's available for ages 40 to 69. So we don't have the 40 to 89. Never understand some of these places when I go back and think about these. In Texas, the daily hospital indemnity amount doesn't start at $10 a day. It starts at $20, up to $700. And it's only for a 31-day benefit period. And then I did mention, I think earlier, Texas has the 5% multi-policy discount rather than the 15%. So as we roll out new product, new states, I say new product, it is a new product. When it rolls out in new states, be sure there's not a lot of nuances and things that change from state to state, but there are some. So keep your eye on that. The premium does not go up as you get older. So obviously, the cheaper you, the younger you are, the less expensive it is. And there's just a single rating. One of the things I showed you on that quote and enroll was you select tobacco or non-tobacco. It's just a single rating, whether you're tobacco or non-tobacco, for this product. Brad, are you, I think that's about, I threw a lot out there in I wanted to kind of keep it about 30 minutes or so. I think I went a little longer than that, but do you have anything you'd like to add at this point, Brad?
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah, it is. It's a lot of information to get through. And like you, I just kind of want to, I do have a couple questions, but you know, I just even want to circle back to even the start. I mean, as you can tell, this is such a great product. I think this is something really you need to go to every one of your clients. I mean, we get people that ask for leads, and I say, have you talked to your clients? Because in one shape or another, I think everyone will need this at some time. One of the stats, 70% of those over 65 will have a long-term care claim. And these are so customizable. I mean, you can get as little as really 13 weeks of home health care to as much as the combined benefits really going for about 2 years. I've had some cases in my life where this would be great, or like I say, or even to supplement some of those long-term care plans, something that my parents have had. But this is something you can reach out to those who've been denied long-term care, those who have it, but maybe need to supplement it, like I said, to cover an elimination period, or those older plans didn't have home health care. It was only for facility care. And those even then the late planners who didn't think about it. But I think, we'll reach out to me. We can talk about this. I have a lot of selling points. A couple of the questions though. So for Tony, then underwriting, as we kind of stated, I mean, really, you have the application questions, and then you'll have to put in the medications, and they'll do a prescription drug check on that.
Yeah, and we do it right. Yeah, it's done right at the time you're doing the app.
Yep.
So the questions are just yes or no. So so it's really and I know a lot of you out there maybe listening in have already had experiences and experience writing either the old product or maybe writing hospital indemnity. Same thing. The only difference is med sups. We do more underwriting on med. Somebody asked me that Friday. Is your underwriting the same on a med sup or on these products? No, these are much more lenient, and the health questions are fewer than underwriting a traditional med sup. Go ahead, Brad.
And then so I mean, really, sometimes you can get an instant answer right there as you're doing the e-app. And then otherwise, like you said, there might be a phone call if there's maybe maybe a medication that can be used for multiple purposes that they might just have to verify. In which case, it's going to be a matter of how when they get a hold of the client. After that, though, how long do you see to get an answer for underwriting? 2 or 3 days, more or less, depending on reaching the client.
No, really, it's really going to come through. You'll have one of the things we've kind of created. I don't know if I can take really credit, or we can take credit that we invented it. I don't know that we invented it, but we were one of the first ones to use it, which is automated underwriting. So when you take an application on somebody through the electronic app, you'll know within seconds. The only thing, to Brad's point, the only thing that might happen is if somebody is on a dual use drug, and maybe we need to reach out to just find out why they're taking it, because it could, we've changed a lot of stuff from an underwriting perspective that we found out probably historically we've denied coverage for people that we really shouldn't have, because yes, they were on, whether they had health ailments or they were on prescription drugs for whatever, didn't necessarily make them a bad risk, right? They were still a good risk. So we've changed the way that we're doing underwriting now, even from a med sup standpoint. And maybe that's the biggest factor is, med sup. I think these products are pretty cut and dry to a degree. And the dual use drug can, we just want to find out what they're taking it for, because if they're taking it for reason X, that's a decline. It could be. But if they're taking it because of another just regular care maintenance drug, we'll take them. So that might, again, however fast we can, get a hold of the member or the applicant, it could be a day or so, a couple of days.
Yeah. And no, thanks. And then and with any resources, there's sometimes you go through those questionnaires and there's kind of that gray area. Can they call, email, or, I try to field as many questions as I can. But is there something from or on the app that directs them? Hey, if you have a question, email.
We have a couple of different resources. There's policy, and we don't have it. I'm surprised they didn't put it in here, but we have policyholder services or agent services, both ways you go on that. We have an email address actually that is designated for underwriting, for the senior supplemental insurance underwriting department. that, if somebody wanted to shoot an email, if you had a situation, you could certainly call in. But Brad, if you want,
And that's for all products, right? Would that be for all products? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
There you go.
Yep. Yeah, it's really a nice thing to use. I mean, oh, and the other thing I would add, here's another thing, guys and gals out there in the on the phone land. Go if you can get into our website, the Aetna Senior, it's Aetna Senior Supplemental, the SSI one. I'm having a
Aetna Senior product.
Yes, if you get in there though, we have a chat feature. And I'm telling you, folks, this chat feature, I have heard just awesome things about the chat feature. Not everything can be obviously addressed through the chat feature, but use it. It is a great, it really is a great tool to use that you can dial up anytime you want, just chat on. And we have some of our top folks standing by on that. So you could actually, for those of you out there, I'll give you this email address for underwriting if you'd like. I don't know if you can write it down. If not, Brad, I can get it to you, and anybody can reach out. But it's AETSSI, and then the word underwriting at Aetna.com. So it's AET. And then you have the SSI, which is supplemental, our senior supplemental insurance abbreviation. So Aetna, AET, SSI, underwriting at Aetna.com. So that's something, if you have a question, you can certainly shoot it to them. Heck, fire, I even use them. I use them all the time. An agent will send me something, or I'll get a call, hey, what about this? Or maybe I don't know, perhaps there's an application or something that needs some assistance that's in underwriting. And I can just forward it to those guys, and then they take care of it. So,
yeah, no, anyway. So I think, please, that it just helps you guys out. Anything to help you guys out. A couple other things, and really kind of going into claims with the prescription drug medication. With that, it doesn't matter who's paying for their medications. If I'm not mistaken. It's
no, it does not.
From the pharmacy. And send it into Aetna, and they'll write you the check. $10 generic,
yep.
$25 name brand, $300 limit for the year. The other thing with that mental health benefit, I assume that's like the outpatient therapy. I mean, you don't have to be on a home health care claim or facility.
That is correct. Yes, that is correct.
Because I can buy this at age 40, right? So I'm 51. I'm perfectly healthy, but hey, I'm struggling. Once again, told you I got.
Well, and somebody might,
mom with
one of the other things,
dementia and lost my dad, so it's just like I just need help. I don't need home health care claim, but I want to make use of my mental health benefit. So.
Yeah, and we've had situations in the past with other products where people you've got group coverage, for instance, like you said, to your point, you're 41 or you're 41 or you're 51 or whatever. Maybe you're working for a company, you got group, and maybe there's a mental health benefit there that you can utilize. You can still use this. It'll pay in addition to whatever else you're getting. So it'll just supplement, just put some money in your pocket. If nothing else, it'll make that person who purchased the policy feel like, okay, I've got something here. I don't necessarily need a nursing facility or anything yet, but I've got something I can take advantage. Same way with the prescription drug benefit.
Yep. And then, okay, I don't know how your time's doing. We have then the one question though, how the excess benefit works. Kind of touch on that. That one's it's a new one. It's very nothing else out there with it. So that excess B charges. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So basically what happens is that, if a person, you have in this case scenario, you have a plan N and you go to a facility, you might go to a provider that is most doctors accept what Medicare pays. It's really when you get into the specialists, things of that nature, the nuances, you might have a particular specialist that doesn't want to participate with Medicare. And there's a rule where they can only charge 15% above and beyond what Medicare approves or charges. So as far as excess charges go. And we have done some research, and again, we've been doing this for a long time. You don't see very many, you don't see very many claims or issues with excess charges, but typically if you do, we haven't seen very many over $300. So now it could be more, sure. I mean, I think you might run into issues if you go to the Mayo clinics. You can have situations if you're trying to receive care there that maybe there's a specialist at the Mayo Clinic or clinics that don't, that just don't participate with Medicare. But that's so if there is a charge there, excess charge, that this plan can help pick it up for them. Again, I don't think many folks are going to run into it, but as a person or a company that sells a lot of traditional Medicare supplement, that has been one of the big fears for people that are writing Plan N, or maybe they haven't gravitated to it just yet. That's one of their fears, that if you look at the premiums on a Plan N versus a Plan G, they are less, substantially less. And so that's a way to, and again, it doesn't have to be an Aetna Med Sup. It can be, Mutual of Omaha, Cigna, you name it, Humana, Med Sup. And if they get tacked on with some additional access charges, this can help pick it up. They just need to file the claim.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, it's a unique benefit. It's a unique benefit for sure.
Yeah, especially where we're going with those, Plan Ns and everything. So
yeah. And again, you don't buy it separately. It's baked into the base plan. So, whether a person has a Plan G or an old Plan F or whatever, where they're not getting dinged necessarily with excess charges, that's okay. I mean, I'm sure there's a little bit of premium built into the base premium, for that type of benefit, just like prescription drugs, but it's minimal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what? And that's, I think for time-wise, I think we're at our time.
Okay.
Feel free though. I mean, I know there's going to be a lot more questions that kind of come out and about this, especially as you're looking over this or you talk to clients. So feel free to reach out, talk to me, please. I'm always available. Hopefully you have my email. That's brad.walchek, WALCHEK, at premiersmi.com. So thank you so much, Tony. Like I said, this is a great product, great opportunity. Yeah. It's by far, to me, probably the best on the market. Like I said, they had a great product and just made it better. So
I appreciate you all having me on, and thank you for all you do. We appreciate you.
You bet. Hey, thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.